So my name is Lou Pesce, and I've been working with the metabolics team for about 7 years. And we have been working at the site in Lincoln Heights that we call the Moon just over a year now. But I have a longer history with the site. I've been walking by that corner of that property for over 3 years now on my way to work. And so it's kind of amazing to think that everything that's happened in that space in the short time that we've been working there. It was a used car lot and was heavily covered in graffiti when we first arrived on the site. It was one of those things that happen on the LA River that most people don't get to see, and what they don't see is that these neglected spaces get occupied by graffiti or by plants that creep up through the asphalt, and that began our work on the site. Because we were able to remove the asphalt and the base of 6 60-foot circles that Lauren, Jaime, and I drew on the asphalt. And once that was removed, the work really began in a number of ways. Because as that was going on, the metabolic studio was developing the work with the water wheel, and how that site fits into our work with the water wheel is so important because at this point we, as a studio, occupy the building that will become the site of the water wheel, and we were preparing for to have to vacate the building, and in order to build the water wheel. And in doing so, we had to do a number of things on the Moon because that would house the operations of the metabolic studio. And also begin a number of experiments that would inform us of how to proceed with the water wheel. So what that looks like in the last year is that we've been renovating the space. The buildings themselves have been designed by Lauren to house our operations, the art production, the office administration, all of those functions that are now currently in the building of the studio on one side of the river will eventually be on the other side of the river. So in order to do that, these buildings had to be repurposed. And with a light touch, we've been able to engage a small team of people that have helped shape that space in order to occupy for our operations. At the same time, some really exciting things have been happening on the site. We have two major explorations happening, one with soil and one with water. And what that looks like is that not only are we investigating what can be done with rainwater by capturing all of the water in cisterns from the roofs of these buildings. We've developed a wetland with the help of our water wheel team and engineers from that project to create a constructed wetland of 27 containers that are filled with native plants and receive water from the LA River, which is unprecedented that we were actually able to take a truck and bring water from the LA River a short distance away at the confluence bring it to our site, and put the water through this wetland system that will mitigate the conditions of bacteria to lower the water from the LA River so that it is suitable for irrigation. And that's an important experiment for us because we'll be doing that on a much larger scale with the water wheel. So the more that we can learn from this experiment, the more it will inform us of how best to develop our site with the water wheel. And that project is just about to launch, and it's really exciting because over this past several months, we entered into the rainy season. The native plants were able to establish in these various base materials, which were important for us to understand because we have been looking at various constructed wetlands, even potentially on the roof. And of course, we would need lighter materials than what the current system is, which is gravel. And that's one of our base materials that we're looking at in our constructed wetland. In addition, we have a coconut coir and a clay pellet. So we will be taking a series of tests over a 4 to 6 week period that will create some very specific data that will help not only inform what we do at the studio with the water wheel, but serve as a manual for other people who are interested in understanding how one would use LA River water to lower the bacterial levels that would be suitable for irrigation. That's happening at one end of our site. At the other end of the site, we have some really amazing experiments going on with soil building. We've planted some of the cottonwood trees that came from from Owens Valley on the backs of mules in 100 mules walking the Los Angeles Aqueduct, and we have been doing a number of excavations. And so we are building soil with the volunteer plants that have come up all on their own by extracting them and composting them over a longer period of time, so that not only will it become soil, but it will take the toxins that are coming through the root systems into these volunteer plants out of the soil itself. So, but as we're doing that, some really amazing things happened. We realized that that this site is just this amazing layer cake of history, and I think a lot of people think that LA doesn't have an incredible history, and we at the Metabolic Studio certainly know that it has a very long history, and that we have done many things to explore what the history of this area is, including its relationship to the Zanja Madre, and what our explorations on that site yielded is that through the center of our site, Pasadena Ave used to actually go right through our site and cross over a bridge called the Buena Vista Bridge. So we're finding the foundations of various buildings. These kind of once the LA River was channelized, we have the concrete foundations that have been buried for a very long time. And as we're digging further, we're finding that there are layers upon layers, and that these histories of the site are coming alive, to the point where we find in the history that it also was the site of building of bee boxes and a box equipment for beekeepers. So what's amazing to think is that this site that had cars on it and that was a parking lot is now becoming alive with layers of history and returning to a more agricultural past. As that's going on, I have the great fortune of working with Lauren to do some design work of how best to articulate the spaces for our studio team. So I've been doing lots of drawings of the buildings and kind of watching what what's happening in that site and what it will become in the future for our team.